Hello, my lovelies! This is Jenny from Jenny's Fun Facts. We just want to take a moment to thank you so much, Pete Eats Meal Preps, for sponsoring our episodes. New menu out every Friday, order by Sunday, delivered fresh by Tuesday, and guess what? They deliver to all Montreal surrounding areas as well. Healthy, fresh, and delivered to your door for free. Add them and our podcast on Instagram at p.eats_P as in Peter, R-E-P as in Peter, S. Thanks, Pete Eats Meal Preps.
Welcome back to Noon Hour Out of the Box. This is actually episode 49. I cannot believe it. We are close to the big 5-0. So excited. Thank you all for tuning in. Your constant love and support is so appreciated by Robert and myself. A huge, huge thank you to Jenny DeHame, who is our producer, and she makes all this happen. And of course, my mentor and good friend and my co-host, Mr. Robert D'Alessio. How are you, Robert? How are you doing today?
I'm, like usual, extremely excited. And that's the part of the reason is because I get to hang out with you.
Oh my God. Well, I feel the same way. And I just want to point out, we also have our viewers from TikTok Live who are with us today. And that's why you see the top of my iPhone. And they are joining us live. So that's super exciting.
Well, just, part of the reason why I'm very happy is, that pretty lady that's just on the screen right now.
Ooh, yes.
After you are actually tied with you in first place, is my biggest fan. Actually, it's a 3-way tie between you, Jenny, and my sweetheart, Twee. Part of the reason why I'm very happy today, and like I'm happy every day for the past year, is that I'm in an excellent relationship. And when they say be careful what you wish for, right?
Yes.
Well, you know what? I think I was wishing a little too much because I got exactly and change. I got much more than what I bargained for, and I'm just totally happy. If you permit us, I'm going to start off the show saying why I'm in a great relationship.
I would love to hear. And also, Robert, let us know what the characteristics of your, by the way, fiance, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What are the characteristics that she has that sort of, made you fall madly in love with her?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I want to say this the right way because I know exactly how this can be perceived out there. So I'm going to be careful the way I say it.
Okay.
I was always looking for a woman with a motherly instinct without being my mother. And I'm going to give you a prime example of what goes on in my life. I don't ask for this. This is not a prerequisite. I mean, I was wishing for it, but I don't actually tell her specifically to get up at 6:00 in the morning to prepare my lunch and my breakfast. I come home from work, supper's on the table. Listen, I am telling you, I swear to God, I never asked for this. Well, I wished for it, but I don't ask her specifically. My clothes are always washed. I always go to work clean. She's making, I'm a little overweight. I'll be honest with you. And now she's really following me. I wouldn't be surprised. She's got drones all over the place. I mean, she's like really on watching me, making sure, taking care of my health. And probably has nothing to do with it, but she's from Asian descent. She's Vietnamese. And I know that in the Asian culture, it's kind of typical, to have this certain like over nurturing culture.
Yes.
And you know what? I wouldn't trade her for anything. And besides that, I mean, there's not only that in the relationship. She's very kind, very considerate. The moment I'm in trouble, she's always there. She's always backing me up. She goes, "Don't worry about it. If this weekend I'm making, you don't have enough hours, I'm going to be there to get your back." So we got each other's back. So I got everything I bargained for and more. So like I couldn't be happier.
So it's obvious that she wants, or rather that you look for someone who's caring, considerate, has lots of empathy, who's
Yes.
understanding. Like those were like top priority for what you wanted. I get it. And you said kindness. And in my research, there was a survey that was performed, and I believe it's in the banners, where kindness was the number one quality that both genders were looking for. Yeah, that's right. So personality and then kindness. So of course, kindness is part of one of your personality traits. So that's big. And it's interesting because I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say it's interesting because I have one memory particularly of my ex-husband who would say to me, the reason why I married you is because you're so kind.
Oh,
so yes. So he would always say that to me. Now, interestingly enough, it didn't work out in the end because I believe we go through several relationships in our life and we learn what we want, what we really need. And so the process of having, the first love, and then, you perhaps you marry or you have a long-term relationship with someone else, and it eventually doesn't work out. By the time you're on the next relationship, which is happening to you, Robert, and myself as well, as I'm in a relationship that's now almost 16 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You understand the qualities that you need. It's not just what you want, but what works for you. For myself, one of the key things that I saw in my partner that I have today was that he was always happy, jovial, had a smile on his face, and had an incredible sense of humor. And that was key for me. So, it's interesting how it all pans out.
Well, that's interesting that you say that because I'm just like totally flabbergasted. I mean, I've been like in another relationship. I would get home, God forbid, I would even touch her toe.
Oh my God.
Forget it. So I come home and say, it's not unusual. I'm home like at 3-4 o'clock in the morning because I'm a shuttle bus driver.
Right.
For a company doing some airport service, and 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Like yesterday, I came home, it was 4 in the morning. And I just like moved the sheets and she just like, she's in her deep sleep, turns around, hello. She's with a smile. I'm there. What the hell is this? I mean, you're supposed to be like a lion, like you got to chain you up. Hello. She's like always in a great mood. Like,
yeah,
wake me up, whatever. I don't know. It's just, I just find it unbelievable.
Yeah,
the difference
Jenny's
from one
right.
relationship to another. Wow.
Yeah, you just so Jenny says, and Chef Nando knows how to cook. Yeah, that doesn't hurt. Interestingly enough, just coincidence, my ex-husband also knows how to cook.
Oh.
And if we're going to get very Freudian here, my father loved to cook. So this was all, and really, I did not know this about my ex. I did not know this about Fernando. It just panned out that way. There must be other characteristics that a man who likes to cook might have these other characteristics that perhaps I'm attracted to. It's very possible.
Did we say sense of humor as well? Because that is
that's key. That's big. That's for me. That's number one.
And you're tied in first place for my biggest fan with my fiance as my biggest fans for anything I say, anything comes out of my mouth. You guys are always laughing. And,
it's so important, Robert, to be able to find humor in yourself, self-deprecating type of humor. Like that's funny, or just finding the humor in a situation, because life is tough. Life can be very serious, and if you can find a way to lighten the mood, even if you're in the middle of an argument, if just suddenly someone says something funny, and that just sort of like cuts the negativity out of that situation. So I find it an extremely important characteristic in a romantic partner and in other partnerships in life as well, work partnerships. Exactly. and other similar type of situations. So I put together this little slideshow. I just want to show you this psychologist who came up with 7 characteristics that most people look for in a romantic relationship. So let's see what she has to say. And this is according to Lisa Firestone. She's PhD. She's a clinical psychologist. She deals with relationship issues, parenting issues, and also abuse as well. So number 1, maturity. When people mature emotionally, they develop a strong sense of independence and autonomy. So maturity is a very important characteristic. I agree. Number 2, openness. An ideal partner is open, undefended, and willing to be vulnerable. No human being is perfect, so finding someone who is approachable and receptive to feedback.
Esther, I love
Yes.
your voice. I could have sworn for a minute you were on a radio show,
Oh,
top, a top 10 radio show.
oh my
Man,
goodness. That is kindness. You see, you're being very kind and complimentary.
well,
Those work for me.
that's part of my character trait. For all of you who are tuning in from TikTok, the other platform, thank you so much for being there as well, along with all of our other
Yes,
friends.
thank you.
So let's go on to the next slide. And number 3 would be honesty and integrity. The ideal partner realizes the importance of honesty in a close relationship. Honesty builds trust between people. Dishonesty confuses the other person, betraying their vulnerability and shattering their sense of reality. Respect and independence. Ideal partners value each other's interests separate from their own. They feel congenial toward one another and supportive of each other's overall goals in life.
Yes, Robert. And I know that you experiencing that, and I experienced that as well. As we have partners who very much support the podcasting work that we do, the acting, voiceover, etc. So that is of key importance. So continuing with number 5, this is key for me, empathy. The ideal partner perceives their mate on both an intellectual, observational level and an emotional, intuitive level. This person is able to both understand and empathize with his or her partner. So important. Number 6, another biggie for me. The ideal partner, and I should retract and say affection. The ideal partner is easily affectionate and responsive on many levels, physically, emotionally, and verbally. He or she is personal, acknowledging, and outwardly demonstrative of feelings of warmth and tenderness.
You know, I gotta say something.
Yes.
My lovey, we are both by the way, our astrological signs are Leo. And
Okay.
to start off with, Leos are very affectionate and very caring people, very loyal and honest. So the affection that I give her, I get it right back. It's as if I'm looking in a mirror. So,
Amazing.
and
So important.
affection, yes, is extremely important because it makes you feel, it gives you a sense of worth. You know, you don't have to do much. You don't even have to go out on a trip or whatever. Just being together when you have the affection and all that, it is enough. And it is so much moral support in difficult times. Wow. Let's move on over here. We're going to close off with our last slide. And number 7 will be, like we said before, sense of humor. The ideal partner has a sense of humor. A sense of humor can be a lifesaver in a relationship. The ability to laugh at oneself and life's shortcomings allows a person to maintain a proper perspective when dealing with sensitive issues that arise within a relationship.
Yeah, that is so important, and I've experienced it many times. I could even think of situations where it gets to the point that we're so angry, and then we realize how ridiculous it is that we're fighting over something like, do we eat the popcorn out of the bag or out of a bowl when we're watching the film? Like, what?
Well, you know,
stop and laugh about it. Like, really? Are we really fighting about this? Like, how ridiculous. So that's, yeah, I find that so important.
And because as Leos, my girlfriend and I are very, very intense. And sometimes, you know, you could have some misunderstandings because of the intensity of our relationship. It can blow up a little bit. Just an example, over the weekend, we were talking about finances.
Okay,
And
that's a difficult one. You need some humor there.
well, no, actually, but it was very straightforward. And she was telling me
Okay.
something. I was telling you something. I was not understanding what she was telling me. And she
Okay.
was not understanding what I was telling her. I go, what the hell? This is so simple. You know, I lost my temper. And this turned into a big thing. So after we cooled off at home, I said, listen, I'm going to write it down for you. I wrote it down, and she told me afterwards, that's exactly what I was trying to tell you. But she rephrased it in her own way. So a lot of times what happens is that you have to take time. You have to decompress, breathe,
Yes.
let the other person talk, and absorb what the other person is saying. Because if sometimes you get a little bit carried away and you're a little bit fast on the gun, on the trigger, that calls for shortcomings like we had on Sunday. So if you sit back and you actually listen to the other person, sometimes you may avoid some of these disagreements, useless disagreements, because that's what they are. They're absolutely useless because they don't bring any joy in your life. They just bring irritation and what have you.
But you took the time, you respected each other's position, and you were willing to recommunicate, so to speak. And by writing it out, sometimes that actually is very helpful. Some people say, oh, sometimes when you text or you write something out, it gets lost in translation. But sometimes you just need it in black and white without the emotion, without the confusion. And then you'll, come to a resolution, so to speak. And so in this case, it worked. But you had the respect for each other to do that. And that was, that's key, that you both respect each other, that communication is important for you. So you put that out there and you made it work. So that's kudos. Now I see that Jenny asked a question.
Yes, let's go on here.
Yes.
Whoa.
So what are your thoughts on the word and feelings of romance? Do you believe this exists in a relationship? I will answer from my perspective.
Yes,
I do believe in romance. I do believe that it is part and parcel of a romantic relationship. I think that over time the romance changes when you get to deal more with a day-to-day life and day-to-day issues. So yes, there is always that honeymoon period where it's very romantic, and then things sort of pan out and reality sets in. But there are many ways that you could retain the romance in your relationship, and it does take a little bit of work, not so much, even a date night once a week, or going away for a weekend, or just going out to eat, or just like doing something kind for each other, or just stopping in the middle of the day and looking at the other person and say, wow, I really, really appreciate everything you're doing, and I just love you. And that's romance can still remain in a long-term relationship. Those are my feelings about that.
Well, thank God you hit the nail on the head there. And that is one thing my girlfriend and I are saying all the time. She's going to tell me a lot of times, she's going to say, oh my God, thank you so much for everything. I go, what? I mean, I just find it normal, but she came from other relationships where she had none of that.
Right.
She was craving for it and wishing for it,
Yeah, that's where, when I said earlier, where it comes in, that sometimes we go through several relationships in our lives. So and sometimes, in fact, it's not what we want, it's what we need. And we learn over time what we need, what works for us, and what will make us happy in a relationship. And that's what happened here. She went through that difficult time, those negative relationships, to find you and to appreciate you. Because maybe if she met you when she was 18, she wouldn't appreciate it. Maybe she'd want to go for the bad boy.
Well, there's another thing that's very important, and it's not to take your relationship for granted. You said before, reality kicks in and all that. I would probably disagree with you on that. I would say more like you become a little bit comfortable and you start taking things for granted because, hey,
it's part of it. Yeah.
Oh, this is going to get mad at me. So what? In an hour, it's going to be over. You can't be thinking that way, because we're all here on borrowed time, and everybody has his or her limits. So you can't always like going on living saying, hey, what, for a lot of corns, it's okay, it's going to be over. You have to be very careful. You have to nurture the relationship, and like you said, yes, going on a date night is very important. Setting some time, making a balance between work and your relationship, yes, that's very important. Esther, we had you did a what was it, a question period? You put something.
So basically what I did is I put out in stories on Instagram and on Facebook, I put out a question, and I got a few responses about what people look for, or what characteristics, or what is one characteristic that you look for in a romantic relationship. So I'm just going to show you guys some of the responses that I got. So this one is from actually Facebook. And this individual wrote, intelligent, shorter. Okay, that's a physical attribute. Offbeat sense of humor, dark hair, nicely tanned, but basically That's in a perfect world. Okay. So they included physical attributes as well, which we did not cover because we're focusing more on, personality and, characteristics of the individual as opposed to physical attributes. This person from Instagram said unconditional trust. Very important. I agree. Do you agree, Robert?
You know what? I think that's key. And I'll give you an example. You take someone like myself who's in the broadcast world. I do events, even yourself for that matter. Sometimes we may have to go have a meeting and all that. You're going to be hanging out with women and what have you. My girlfriend told me, and she puts a lot of stress on that. She goes, I trust you unconditionally. I know that if you go out to this meeting and all that, and whatever the things you're doing and all that, I have my complete trust in you. I know who you are.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry. And yes, unconditional trust is key, because you go to bed at night and you know that your husband or your wife is on a movie set and probably involved in a scene that's, a little bit unconventional and all that. But because the fact that you have that trust in the person, geez, it's so much comforting.
Oh, okay. So John Arnold is watching us right now. So
that's John Arnold. That's a name that I've seen before.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to just tell you the final response that I got from one of our listeners. Honesty above all. So
now look at that face. How can that face say anything else other than honesty?
Thank you.
And I devote that song to you from Billy Joel, Honesty.
Oh, yeah.
And if it wasn't for the algorithm, I'd break out into a song right now.
That's right. Or maybe, rights for the song itself. So you'd have to be, careful about that. So, Robert, I found this individual on TikTok. He goes by the name of West TM, and he has what they call this daily dose of knowledge. And he gives his, I think, top 5 attributes of what to look for in a partner. So I'm just going to play that little clip for you.
Yeah. Just before you play that, we have something very important to do.
Oh, yes, of course. Let's do it.
We got a break for program identification.
You're tuned into Noon Hour Out of the Box.
Love it. Here he is.
The top 5 qualities you should be looking for in a life partner. Research from the Gottman Institute showed that the most important predictor of relationship longevity is ability to handle conflicts. So here are the qualities you should look for in your life partner to make sure you have a great relationship. Number 5, understanding of how basic emotions work. Being able to understand how you're feeling and not react when times are tough. It's crucial for happiness in any relationship. Number 4, willingness to communicate. Being able to talk through your problems and come to resolutions will make you a stronger unit. Number 3, understanding the importance of ground rules. Don't take cheap shots at each other. Don't call each other names. Stay on track during arguments and listen to the other person. Whatever it is, make sure you always communicate fairly. Number 2, humor. Having a sense of humor during tough times eases stress. Number 1, capacity for empathy. Always treat your partner with compassion and kindness. Follow and like for more.
Esther.
It's interesting how he covered many of the attributes that we already spoke about it. So there's a lot of commonality amongst experts, motivational speakers, and individuals like ourselves, everyday folks.
I just want to take a moment to give a personal thank you to some of the people tuning in, and notably our good friend Don Emilio Zeno. We also have Jimmy Scalia, who's got Melrose Resto. That's on the St. Lawrence Boulevard. It's a place you want to check out. The food is absolutely great. They got some shows going on there. Also want to give a shout out to Joanne Arnold as well. Perry Canestrari. He is a tenor, a very, very talented singer, and he has his lives on Facebook. So you want to go check him out. He is really, really talented. And to all of the rest of you, including Christian Provo and Bob Ritchie, thank you everyone for tuning in. We still have some time. And let us not forget Edna Katz Silver.
Love Edna. I want to be Edna when I grow up.
You know what? You're a
inspiration.
Oh, actually a coming version of Edna, I have to be careful the way I talk over here. Like, you're not yet at Edna's point because Edna's like 92 and she's still performing on camera. An
She's
absolute
amazing.
sensation. I love Edna. Such a great person. Every time we get together, she always takes good care of me, like Chef Nando takes care of you with
Yeah.
all his cooking skills. I also want to thank my fiance Twee, who's tuned in, my biggest fan and my biggest supporter. It's very important, you have someone who supports in your life, like you have Fernando. You have your daughter Sarah, and you also have your son David, who's a talented musician. Time to plug everybody today, and also I want to take this very special moment to thank everyone as well who's tuned in on TikTok right now.
Yes.
You're following on Esther's phone. That's why you see that Pinky Tuscadero phone there. It's because Esther's tuned in to TikTok, and all of the fans are tuned in from there and also enjoying our show. We got some people in there from Kentucky.
Yes,
I don't
and
know if
Hobbit Guy says thumbs up, 100% facts. So
Well,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank you
support.
so much. And the first thing that comes to mind when Kentucky's brought up is the bluegrass and also that chicken, the fried chicken that comes from Kentucky. Colonel Sanders, we also had a fellow from Tennessee.
Yes.
And the other people are just too shy to tell us where they're from.
Yeah, they're popping in and popping out. So that's at this point. Yeah. Yeah.
Esther,
Yes.
folks, listen, we have a bit of time left. Come on, but no one is going to judge you. If you have a question, go ahead, ask the question. We're going to do our best to answer it. We also have our amazing producer, Jenny, who is a walking encyclopedia. So if we can't answer you, Jenny is going to come up with the facts. Speaking of facts and
Yes.
Jenny, we have a very interesting segment on our show called Jenny's Fun Facts. Today, we don't have a segment of that, but we do encourage you to go on to the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel, click on the Jenny's Fun Facts playlist, and there's all of her amazing work. Very entertaining, folks. You're going to love that segment. Go ahead and click on the likes, comment, share, and also not only subscribe to the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel, also subscribe to our good friend Esther, Esther's Breeze. Subscribe to her channel as well, and congratulations.
Thank you, Robert.
You are gaining ground, and we're seeing that you're getting a lot of new supporters and subscribers.
Yes, recently I've had quite a few new subscribers, so I'm really thrilled and really thankful and appreciate it. And guys, if you have a characteristic that you would like to let us know that you look for in a romantic partner, please let us know. We are live. You can put it in the chat section from where you're watching, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. We would love to find out. A part of the reason why we do this, it's not just for us to tell you what we think, but we love to learn from you guys as well. So please put it out there. You don't have to do it now if you don't have the time. And for the viewers who later watch this, you can do it definitely on on either of our YouTube chat section as well once it's past our live broadcast time.
Esther, originally our show started off at 15 minutes. And right now, with the exchange in the US there, like a Canadian dollar is like 70 cents. So, we're already up to a half hour. We're having so much fun over here. Maybe we can drag this on a little bit more and have a little bit more fun and see if our comments from our audience are going to be, they're going to intertwine with us and get involved with us. Esther, I don't want to put you on the spot and all that.
Yes, but please do, Robert. This is why I'm here, for you to put me on the spot.
Okay, well, we're going to do something out of the box.
Okay, that's
on this noon hour.
The name. Yes.
Okay, Esther, look, tell us what your most memorable with your current partner, of course, because he's the one who's been bringing all the joy in your life. Tell us what you would qualify as one of the most amazing experiences, let's say one of the most acts of kindness and empathy that came from our good friend Fernando.
When I was very ill in the hospital, and I did not know what was going on, and all these horrible diseases were thrown at me, and we were in the worst of the lockdown, and they were only allowing one person at a time in the hospital. Fernando was there with me as much as he could. And whenever I went through some crucial test, he would come early in the morning. He would lie in the bed with me. He would hold me. I will never forget the love and support that I received from him. He was Team Esther all the way. When I came back home, he treated me like I don't know, like a precious child. And I will never forget the kindness, the empathy. Even talking about it makes me want to cry.
Oh,
Yeah, that was key, because I've experienced similar issues with other partners, and I did not get that love and kindness and empathy. I know the difference now, and that's everything, because let's face it, as we get older, there will be more instances and times in our lives when we will need caring for, like you said. And just the love and empathy is becomes so much more important. It's not about the point that, or they're really hot looking and they have a great body, or they have that's that goes away. That's not as important. It's who the person is, and it's how they show their love and support. And that, to me, that kindness and love was everything, and I will never ever forget it.
well, I'd like to relate something myself, and this has left such a huge mark on me. Of course, there's been the things that happened in my life with my girlfriend. Maybe I can go over that quickly as well. We're in a new relationship at that point. It's going to be a year on the 7th of June, by the way.
Oh, wow,
And the 7th
amazing.
of June also coincided with the second year of broadcast with Rob's Inner Circle, and that's coming up. And while we're at it, why not, give everybody a big thank you for having supported us through all that time. So we're in a new relationship, my girlfriend and I. And I was, this all goes together because I had COVID at one point. I'm going to be getting back to you and Fernando because I absolutely love you guys. This is where I really grew my respect for both of you. I'm not working, and I wasn't eligible for the federal grant for the help over there. And, I was suffering a little bit. I was like behind on my payments and all that. And my girlfriend, it's like, I'm in a new relationship. She goes, listen, you know what? I got some savings over here. I'm going to help you out. So she right away, she dug into her pocket. She helped me out. We hardly knew each other, but the connection was there right away. It didn't take long for us to connect. And
Amazing.
she was there for me. And then a little later on, she was stuck in a rut, and I was there for her. And also during that pandemic, Esther, listen, we never met each other.
At that point, yeah, we
Yeah.
hadn't.
We're on the show. It's like it's a virtual thing, and it's like we met each other recently after all this time, after 2 years. You hardly know me, but our interaction that we have, weekly. Actually, it's more than weekly because we're talking. We're on the phone like very often, talking about the show now. I mean, at least 2-3 times a week. But that interaction that we had led to a really sincere friendship, and I was like at the worst you can be in a case of COVID. I was like really, really sick. And you and Fernando, like you live like miles away, like
On the
not
other
next
side of
door.
town, so to speak. Yeah.
You need something, we're going to cook you something. We're going to bring you some soup. You want us to go get you some groceries? I'm there. What? And and there's people very close to me who didn't even think of picking up the phone to find out how I was doing. Here you are letting me know, hey, you need some help and all that. We're going to be there for you. Let us know what we can do for you. And also, I also have to mention Jenny because she was there. She was an amazing support as well. Giving all this medical advice. Jenny, she knows her stuff. Do this, do that, avoid this, avoid that. And she was also there. Listen, you need some help? Let me know. I'll be there as well. So I just thought I would give you people a shout out. Thank you so much for what you guys did. It's maybe not exactly characteristics in a relationship that has to do with romance, but it is love in itself in its purest form. And I just wanted to mention that, Esther, the people that you are being followed by, the people on TikTok and all over the place, they need to know that you are a genuine and authentic person. Such a sweetheart. And this comes across as like flattery and all that, but I just have to let it out because this is what the show is all about. And you can change camera angles if you're going to break into tears.
No, it's okay. I'm an actress. I can pretend.
Just
Thank
act.
you, Robert. It is, to me, it's just, human nature. It's humane to do that. And we talk about partnerships, and then we're talking about romantic partnerships, but this is a partnership of sorts. That's why when I said in the beginning of the show, partnerships in life, partnerships in business, and of course the romantic partnerships, but these are qualities as well. But you and Jenny both have that empathy and that kindness and that understanding, and that's really key for me. And it was just natural to offer to help. This was before you were with your fiance. I remember
Yes,
we were
exactly.
alone and our hearts broke and we wanted to help you. And I think that is a natural, humane reaction.
Well,
So, but I thank you for the kind words.
it is a natural humane reaction, like you say, but I had people who were closer to me than you guys are, and they didn't even so much as even like pick up the phone or give a damn. I do want to mention my two good buddies, because I remember at one point I forgot to mention him, and it's like he kind of said something about it. My good friend Joe, who's been Joseph G. He's been my lifelong friend. I know him like for years. His girlfriend Michelle, very very tight knit. Yeah, they were there as well. They cared for me as well. There's also my good friend Steve, who is a bus driver at the transit system where I worked, along with my other good friend Tony Tisco. That's actually Tony Tarasco, he's a former colleague of mine. We worked together at the South Shore Transit System. And by the way, you know what? Why not plug him?
Go ahead.
His girlfriend's got a travel agency. And if you're looking for good rates, good prices, go through Tony Tisco. Tony, if you're still there, let us know how we can get in touch with your girlfriend Pina, if she's still doing the traveling and all that. And if we can help you out, why not? And while we're here and plugging people, it is lunchtime right now. You guys should be having a good snack. So I did mention Melrose Resto before.
Yes, you did.
I think you guys should go down there and have your lunch over there and say that Rob and Esther have sent you, and go specifically to see Jimmy Scalia. He's part owner of the place. Very nice people, very good food, good service.
We are spreading the love, Robert. That's what we're doing. We're talking about romantic relationships, and then we got into partnerships that are not romantic and that are sort of friend partnerships and business partnerships. And now we're just spreading the love. We're spreading the love to our viewers, to our friends, and we're just, we're just feeling it.
What happens is that this show, all of a sudden, it turned out to be everything to do with love. And, like the Beatles say, all you need is love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so very true. And sometimes we say we can't choose who our family is, but we can choose our friends. And, sometimes our friends become our family. And that's, how things can often pan out, and just being so fortunate to find people who are on the same page and who have those qualities, because those qualities are not all of them are just for romantic relationships. You do need those qualities in business relationships as well. You need the honesty, you need the respect, you need the empathy, you need even the humor, to find the humor in a situation. A contract doesn't work out, or this happened, it's let's laugh it off. Things, something better will come along. You need those attributes in all kinds of partnerships in life.
You think you're talking about humor and all that, and I'm thinking, like when I first started off in the podcast business, I had some kind of training. Like I took some journalist courses and all that.
Right.
And I always was a bit of a reporter. I was playing street hockey with my friends, and I was calling the play-by-play. But I go back and watch some of my earlier episodes. I'm talking about from maybe episode 1 to 5. I'm looking at myself. I'm totally laughing. I go, oh my God. I was like totally clueless. I wasn't really sure what was going on. It's like trial and error. I just went on, opened the microphone, no planning, no nothing, off the cuff, out of the box. And I'm looking at that today. I go, oh my God, that is, how could I, today, like I wouldn't be able to do that. But then again, as time goes on, you gain experience.
Yeah.
You have some great people to coach you. Your friends who are around you are going to coach you, they're going to help you out. I don't want to keep naming names all the time because it's going to become annoying, but people in my inner circle, in Rob's inner circle, have been there, help me out both in coaching and what have you. Esther, while we're there and we got a little bit of time left over here, we have a few things coming up. You and I and Jenny started off a new show called Seriously?
Seriously?
Yeah, and we have a few events coming up. One of them is it's a booked event. It's June 5th. We're going to be attending Teresa Picciano's. If you're American, you're going to say Teresa Picciano, but we say Teresa Picciano here. Teresa Picciano's premiere of her short film, Seamless Journey, in which you and I appear.
Yes,
So
we do.
So that's something exciting. So Esther, tell us a little about what the audience can be expecting, because we're going to be doing a live. It's on a Sunday, and it may be like between 2 and 4 o'clock we're going live. Give the audience a little bit of an appetizer of what they could expect.
It is a private event for cast and crew and for VIPs. We are going to be interviewing people before they enter the auditorium while they sign the plaque. And we're just going to do a quick little, who are you? What are your expectations? Blah, blah, blah. We're kind of, sort of an Academy Award type of, situation. There is no actual red carpet, or maybe there will be a red carpet, but that is our aim, is to just briefly introduce the people, ask them how they feel about, before viewing the film. And I'm really looking forward to it, Robert. This is the first time that we're doing something like this. And I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of interesting VIP people attending. So you're going to see talent agents, casting directors, producers, actors. So you cannot miss that, because you're going to see some really cool people that we're going to interview.
We have a star-studded lineup lined up, and some of the people who are very well known in Montreal, the community, are going to be there. And one of them being Teresa Picciano, who's really out there, who's an amazing producer, very talented. She's a great actress. She's a writer. She's a producer. And she gives her heart out to the world. I just thought we would mention that, because you and I have a very good relationship with her.
Yeah.
And she's been good not only to us, but to everybody. We also have another show in between that is in the making, because at one point we had done our second show. We've done the Rob's Inner Circle. That was on May 16th, I believe, at Gallo Nero, and we had Peter Costa as our guest. And then maybe a week and a half later, we ended up going back to Gallo Nero, and we had a star-studded lineup, including Teresa Picciano. We had Jenny there. We had a few people. We had Herman. I don't remember his last name. We had the owner, Johnny, coming in to give his 2 cents worth. Johnny's son, Egidio, who's a great bartender. We had a lot of fun over there. Esther, what is most memorable about that evening that we had at Gallo Nero, the second time when we were all there?
I just loved the camaraderie that we had amongst ourselves, and the openness of everyone that we shoved a microphone in front of. I mean, everybody was like totally open to speaking, excited to talk about Teresa's film or their involvement with it. And I got to meet so many cool people. And I just loved the whole experience. It was a very loving, enriching evening. And I can't wait to do something like that again. I think everybody involved had an amazing time. And, it's interesting. You put a microphone in front of someone and blah, blah, people love it. Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, Robert.
Well, 15 minutes of fame, like our show is like 15 minutes of fame. It started out 15 minutes. Look at this. The meter's going into the red. It's going to bust. But hey, we're having fun. That's what counts. Our producer, Jenny, has put up a couple of questions over here. Since you have that persona, I was about to call you Jenny again. What do I keep confusing you to?
That's okay. So you want me to read this? I can do that. Number 1, can the thought of fantasy get in the way of the true sense of romance? That's number 1. Now, I believe that there are times when people, and they call them something, like love bombers, people who fall in love with you right away, or they say all these wonderful things about you right away. They are obviously not seeing the real you. And the fantasy of what they want you to be is actually what comes into play. So it can get in the way. You really need to take time to get to know someone. That's my belief. Number 2, can fantasy, and Robert, I'll get back to you because I saw your hand going, can fantasy become dangerous in a relationship? 100%. Robert.
Yes, I'm going to answer that because fantasy, what happens is that you create expectations in a relationship that are not necessarily there. It's that you would want your significant other to be a someone who loves to go jogging in the morning, and you create that thing. Oh, he's going to come to he's going to come to his senses. He's going to end up liking it. You can't base yourself on a fantasy or on what you want and what you wish. You have to base yourself on reality. So when you're hooking up with someone, you want to try to find out if that person has the same interests as you do. And one of them could be like jogging at 4 o'clock in the morning. And if my girlfriend had any kind of hope that I would be doing that, she's totally out of her mind. I go to bed at 4 o'clock.
Number 3, can some people not be romantic in nature? Absolutely. My ex-husband was not a romantic person per se. And that didn't stop me from falling in love with him and from having a life with him. I mean, things eventually didn't work out for other reasons, but I did come to realize, and what I talked about earlier, is that we have different relationships in our lives where we actually learn what we want and what we don't want. And I did come to realize that I wanted that romance. That was important to me, but it's not necessary to have a good relationship, and it's not for everyone.
I also want to take this moment over here to invite the audience because Saturdays is something special going on accessradio.ca. You can watch this extended version. Actually, not watch, you can hear it because it's on radio. Access Radio, that's AXIS radio.ca. You can hear our extended version on the radio between noon and 3 p.m. And that is every Saturday. Tune in. It's a lot of fun. You have people interacting and commenting. So that's a lot of fun as well. So Esther, of the events that we may have coming up, one of them is that we're in the planning stages. We don't want to go into it too much just in case we might not get to that. But you've been in a movie called... It's a short movie.
Oh, yes. Inside. Yes.
Inside.
With Miriam, Giuseppe, and Adria. Yes.
So tell us about that experience because you're also an actress, you're voiceover and all that. And this also has to do with the love and respect that you had for one another while you guys were putting this movie together. So how was that experience with all of these people?
It was amazing. I have so much respect for all of them. They're incredible actors. Giuseppe is an incredible cinematographer and director. He blew me away with his abilities. Miriam, my goodness, this girl can act. And she's like a quiet actress. She evokes emotion from her expression, from her movement. It was an absolute joy to work with her. I played her mother. And she was just terrific. And, it came naturally. Immediately, I felt like her mother. We have this rapport. The script was written. It's a beautiful script. Adria, I don't know her last name. I always forget it.
Saint
Thank you. Yeah, the three of them were involved in writing the script, but I know that the concept originally came from her, I believe, and she sat me down and she talked to me about the character, and she was just so amazing. She's a very bright girl, and has a lot of she's quite deep, and she knew exactly how to evoke the emotions that she was looking for in the character that I was portraying. So I have, it was a wonderful experience, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was an absolute joy.
Speaking of Miriam Lopez, our good friend that we met in Joseph's classes at MSOPA, that's another place you want to go take all of your acting classes. That's msopa.com. Log on to there to have a whole bunch of classes. Very, very interesting, very affordable, great, talented people. We met her there for the first time, and we cast her on our sitcom, Daily Struggles, and we worked with her. And the first time we met, she goes, "Oh my God, guys, it's as if we've known each other for years." And it's absolutely true. She is just so talented and charming, and she can bring to life any character you give her, and she's going to put her own little thing in there, and it's going to be so believable, so well done. But she is a very well-trained actress and very talented as well. So let's give a shout out to our good friend Miriam out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So here again, we are talking about partnerships and romantic relationships, but let us not forget the partnerships we have in business relationships and partnerships. And this is exactly what we're talking about, the relationships that we have with each other as podcasters, as actors, and some of the relationships that you have even when you are working on a film. That honesty, camaraderie, that even the empathy and humor, all that comes into play in that type of partnership relationship as well. So, though we are talking about romantic relationships, we're finding that all these attributes are so important in other partnerships in life.
Well, if you permit, Esther, I have a question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So, actually, a couple of questions. What are your thoughts on fantasy in a relationship? So, maybe you can take the bull by the horns and you answer this one here.
Well, I think I talked about that a bit earlier about fantasy, in the fantasy that we have of what we want the other person to be as opposed to what the person really is. There is that tendency sometimes that we fall in love with the fantasy of what we think the other person should be or we would want them to be, and we are not seeing the person for who they are. So we have to be very careful about that. And then I also spoke about love bombers who do that, and they, immediately, they'll say all these wonderful things and tell you they love you, and you've only known them for a week. That is usually not a good sign. It is dangerous, and they are working, in fantasy land as opposed to being, or seeing the person for who they really are and seeing them in a realistic manner. And I know it says here, is lust a dangerous thing? And is it confused by love? Our thoughts.
Esther, I think you would be more suited to answer this question, even though it comes from me. So, what do you think? Is lust a dangerous thing, and is it confused by love? In your thoughts?
That is something that happens when we are a lot younger. It is very confusing because our hormones are raging and more so than they are today. And then, yes, it could be very confusing, especially when we are very young, when we're experiencing our first love relationship. Lust and love can be very confusing. I think a lot of people experience that. I think it takes maturity and having some other relationships to truly understand the difference. But it definitely happens that somebody is in lust with someone and think they are rather in love with them, and only to find out a couple of months later that it just peters out and then they don't even really like the person that much. So yeah, that happens, but I think it's a young person's game. I don't think it happens as much as you get older, and certainly not in my age range. That's like out the window. We don't see that anymore, but definitely it is an issue.
Well, we're about to sign off over here, but I do want to take the opportunity to thank everybody who's tuned in from all of the social platforms. On Esther's TikTok alone, the outpour of love has been overwhelming. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in, and we hope that one day we'll be able to be broadcasting on TikTok as well, live. Esther, you have quite a bit of followers, and getting all these followers on TikTok is no easy thing, right?
Robert, I've spoken about this before. It really, it just sort of happened organically, and I came to realize that there was an audience of 50 plus out there, and they sort of resonated with what I talked about, because I talked about aging in a positive way, but some of the negative aspects as well, and they just sort of like hung around and they wanted to hear more, and that's how that happened.
Well, Esther, listen, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me, putting up.
My pleasure, Robert.
For the past hour, we can say 15 minutes. That's the budget for a show. I could just see the producer pulling her hair out. This is 15 minutes. It's more than I bargained for.
We had a lot to say about the subject, and I feel that people were interested and were engaged. So I think it's a good thing, Robert.
And it's also one thing that we do encourage, even though we're going to sign off, you guys can continue. You could also interact with us and ask your questions afterwards. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, we're going to be there engaged. Esther and I and Jenny always take the time to answer each and every one of you. And yes, We are going to be hitting the big 50 next week, and we have not been around for 50 years, but actually 50 episodes. And how would we have gotten here without all of your love and support to each and every one of you? I want to take this moment on my behalf to thank you, everybody, for being out there, for having encouraged us to make us get to the level where we are right now. And we count on your support for the future as well. Esther, you get the closing comments because it's time to go have lunch.
Thank you all for tuning in. This has been an incredible hour, which was supposed to be 15 minutes. You know, and I say that at the opening of every show, that your constant love and support means the world to us. And I absolutely mean it. I cannot believe we've done 49 episodes. So looking forward to the big 50 next week. And we hope to see you next time.
You know, if ever we're going to have to rebrand this show, we're going to call it This Hour's Got 15 Minutes.
Sense of humor. I told you guys.
Thank you, Jenny, for producing. Thank you, Esther. And thank you, everybody. Have a good and blessed week. We'll see you next week with our big 50. Stick around, folks.